Artel found herself outside his cabin in a green wire chair wearing the head of a deer. It was a stag's head, really, a young stag's atop her shoulders. It was not a mask and was not detachable. She knew this since she'd pulled upward on the head and the thing wouldn't come off. I am one handsome deer, she thought, viewing herself reflected in Seth's bedroom window. Otherwise, shoeless, she wore a thin yellow t-shirt and a pair of denim shorts. She touched her face from chin to forehead, tracing the new contours to gauge the feel of her short facial fur now covering her from scalp to neck. She scratched and pulled a tick from her neck. He always calls me dear, she thought. Wonder what he'll say now. Seth had planned to spend the whole weekend with her, but had gone for more bullets. The stag he'd shot yesterday gutted and hung on the porch. Seeing it there still, she remembered her revulsion at watching him slit it open, pull out the steaming organs, separate a few pounds of meat for immediate use, and prepare the rest of the body for the deep freeze, though he hadn't brought it there yet. That must be an afterthought. That night they ate deer for dinner. She remembered feeling sickened, even now regurgitating venison from her own venison mouth. Gamey, she remembered, was how her mother described such meat, like you're eating the digestion of the woods. The animal on the porch was female. Guess he was too lazy to get a stag. Nonetheless, the first time you watch a man not only kill, but cut up an animal causes revulsion. His butcher skills were sloppy. They hadn't talked about his obsessive hunting during their dating months preceding when they'd eaten out and watched plays, but it came as no surprise to her. In bed, he was brutal, aggressive. So she presumed, in retrospect, that he rather thought himself a hunter there, too. This apparent by his clenching jaw and glassed eyes as he entered her, and the hard way he laid into her sometimes, cranking her legs up on his shoulders, almost beating at her thighs. Neanderthal, she thought, but better than pansy sexphobe. The guy before Seth kissed too light and couldn't say the dirty words. I want to eat your flower, he'd say, to intimate oral sex. Artel had laughed, even sometimes replied, you mean my pussy? You want to go down there and eat the hell out of my pussy, Henry? Yes, that's what I mean, he replied. Seth, on the other hand, said the dirty words without hesitation, asked her questions like, you like this, you want it like this, you like it hard, yeah, baby, you need it like this, huh? I'm gonna take my... But thinking about it now, Artel guessed she and Seth hadn't actually spoken much outside of the bedroom words, meaning the other words which addressed deeper wants or needs. She wasn't sure he knew the other words. Sometimes what she wanted to say, while private audience to his ridiculous porn video was, no, I don't really like this, Seth. Well, not really. I need more lube when you pay so little attention to my face, but okay, yes, it's okay, just finish. Or, hey, Magellan, can you go for a middle route here? Some tenderness and some roughness? And how about the oral sex break you used to hold off ejaculation, taking me to orgasm instead of just giving you a rest? Baseball. Think of baseball. Instead, because she knew she could be demanding and had begun to doubt the possibility of a man who could be both tender and rough, Artel couldn't bring herself to utter these things, so she imagined their relationship progressing in the way many relationships progress, hardly at all for months, and then advanced with sudden leaps of unwarranted trust. The sex wasn't terrible, just not much about her. But it was certainly the first time he'd taken her to his private country man place, where the logs on outer cabin walls were ragged with rough-hewn bark, a sharp contrast to his metrosexual condo, where they usually met for wine, conversations about sex, and actual sex. He invited her because he wanted her in his Mars-like cave, she supposed. And the cabin was fine, interesting. Yesterday morning, she'd taken pictures of every room. It was clean, not sloppy like most bachelor pads. The colors were reds and browns. No spiders in the corners. He had killed and stuffed a lot of animals. There were heads in some rooms where the animal might be beheaded, each date of kill on small brass plaques where possible, especially for the deer. His bedroom was for stag's horns. The living room boasted stuffed foxes and rabbit furs. The kitchen held mounted stuffed trout. Venison this weekend, he said. Deer are quick to shoot and eat. Fresh meat is best. Don't let anyone fool you, Artel, but you gotta have a license to shoot it. Don't worry, I'll shoot for 2. Artel had made a lifetime of not letting anyone fool her. I don't normally eat much meat, she said, thinking deer all weekend. We can fish later, he said, catch trout. I want to hike tomorrow, she said, averting that. It's good to be vigorously active out here, he replied. You'll hike and I'll walk behind. I think you just like to watch me move, she said. I don't deny that, he replied. He'd had her chopping wood when she first arrived. She thought he wanted to watch her sweat. Could have been that, but he was lazy too. This is why he used bullets instead of a primal weapon like a spear. I'd like to see you kill a deer with a spear, she said. He laughed. Artel was 5'8". He topped her by 3 inches. This morning after he left, she stripped her sweater and walked outdoors. Today it was warm. Morning dew nearly evaporated on the grass, so her bare feet felt fine. As she regarded herself again, her big deer's eyes looked fluid in the window. She rather liked her long, narrow nose. Experimenting, she let her long purple tongue lick her fur. Oh, yeah, that was hot. Seth returned. She heard his car. He smiled, holding the bullets in a box in his hand until he spied her and then dropped them in surprise. He must see her deer face, too, she thought, her weird male deer face. He said, Morning, Artel. Do I have a deer head to you, she asked. But whatever noise she made resembled more a squeaky grunt. On his knees in the grass and dirt, he retrieved bullets. Then he stood, opened his car door, took his gun from the back seat, and walked to the porch. Artel? He asked again. She nodded. She walked into the cabin and got a notepad. With it in front of him again, she wrote, It's me. Okay, he said, I thought so. His eyes were on her chest. Do you see my head as a deer's head? She asked on paper. Yes, I do, he said. I'm hungry, she wrote, followed quickly by, Please don't shoot me. But she dropped to her hands and knees to eat grass, which had assumed a new and ridiculous lure. It was delicious. Why didn't we eat grass before? She thought, it's the new lettuce. After she'd done so a while he stood and watched, she rose and grabbed a notepad again to write, What the fuck happened here? I don't know, he said, but it's happened before. She made one big exclamation mark on the whole page, then flipped it and wrote on a clean sheet, With whom? My other girlfriend, he said. At first we were worried, but then she went back to normal when she returned to the city. Artel shivered. The grass tasted funny, delicious, tangy. This happened before? Seth held out his arms. She walked into them. First, like a kind papa, he stroked her back, and then his hands strayed to her ass, all over. Let's do it, he said. Let's do it like this, Artel. I love your body. It's okay if you're quiet this time. She was quiet. They'd done it plenty the night before, her thighs still sore, but she nodded. It was all she could do. She'd feel silly to write no sex on the notepad or no tricolon with several underlines. Sure, let's fuck, she thought. The last girl got home. And she touched him back. Oh, too fucking weird, he announced. My super hot girlfriend is a deer right now, stroking my cock. When they got to the bedroom, things went the same as before, except they didn't kiss. He kept staring at her head, alternating his view of her young stag's horns with the movement of his hips and the static mounted racks across the room. He might need a plaque for this event, she thought. My dear event, as his thrusts pummeled her body. Date of conquest, human deer, blank, blank, blank. Before the rack happened, however, he'd have to gut her and eat her, she decided. Maybe like how he gutted her now, pounding away at her cervix, he would take his mid-coital oral sex break as snack any minute. As she thought this, his head dove. Normally, she issued noise, sometimes loud noise for fun, but not today. Still, fear and confusion made her unusually sensitive. The other girl had a doe's head, he said, when he came back up to kiss her, wiping his face on the blanket. Weird that this time you got a stag. Are you some kind of lesbian, Artel? You got a guy's brain. Great, she thought. He thinks I'm a lesbian because I have horns? Or that I have a guy's brain? Your oral sex makes me want to go lesbian, she decided. He shrugged and commenced his final stretch. She looked at her body reflected in the window with her male deer head, with his body doing its thing. Damn sexy, she thought. Maybe I'm a male in these woods because I am smarter, she speculated. I'm your alpha. Or she could pretend that his window image was her and that he was her weird deer woman with the deer head. Being unable to make human noise gave her lots of time to think. She wondered whether her horns were sharp enough to gore him and whether her body would go stag. This is so much better than the last time this happened, she heard Seth say out of his breath. Fuck yeah, it's incredible. It's okay, Artel tried to say, forgetting for a moment that she couldn't talk, deer speech now resembling her tongue lolling out and quietly returning to her mouth. Moments later, oblivious, he began his usual verbal routine. You want this, baby? You need this? Show me how bad. Oh, so bad, baby, she said through her silent stag mouth. So very, very bad. Yeah, whatever, you asshole. I can see you're trying to say something, he said as he finished. Your tongue keeps sticking out. It's so cute. Maybe later I'll get you the notepad again. We can talk. But when he went to the living room, he got a beer and put his feet up on the recliner. He took a short nap and didn't even bring her a glass of water. When she heard him snore irked, Artel dressed, took his car keys, and drove to the car park where she'd left her Honda. By the time she got home, her head was normal. It was already normal upon arriving at the car park. In the bathroom mirror, seeing her face again, she tested moving her lips and tongue. She was totally human, so called Liza, clearing the new message announcement on her cell. Seth had texted 20 or more times as she drove. Without reading them as she drove, hearing only the recurrent beeps arriving, she had already decided not to see him again no matter how faux metrosexual he looked. The man couldn't carry a conversation. The man said the same things when she didn't talk as when she did. It was then she realized he had never required a response. Nonetheless, his follow-up text to the cabin experience went as follows. Artel? Baby? Where'd you go? Fuck. Where's the car? Where's my car? You coming back? I know you want more of that, baby, that hot sex we had. Did you stop at the store? Get more beer. What a sexy-ass deer head you had. It bothered you when I said this happened before, didn't it? Aw, you're upset. Aren't you jealous, maybe? That was a long time ago. She wasn't that pretty. Your tits are bigger. I miss you? Let's go fishing. I'll hike with you. You can walk behind me. Baby, come back. All right, I'm getting pissed. Bring my car back right now. Right now, you fucking bitch. I know you're ignoring me, you stupid fucking queer bitch. I bet you had guy horns because you were going to stab me in the back. Maybe you wanted to poke me with them in the ass. Artel, did you want to poke me in the ass? Baby, I should have fucked you again and then cut them off. I'm sorry. Come back, baby. Please come back. I miss you. Hey, Artel, did I do a guy? No way, because you had a pussy. Artel, baby, I'm sorry. Be a doe. I'll be a doe. Bring my car back, will you, dear? After reading them, Artel texted to say his car was at the car park. He could hike, take a bus, whatever. Not her problem. She was dealing with her deer head issue and staying at the hospital under much duress. She replied, please, Seth, don't call or text again. She obviously didn't go to the hospital. She told Liza, dude, that was some creepy shit with Seth at the cabin. He usually wears suits. Out there, the guy kills what he eats and mounts the shit. I felt like my head was a deer's head on his wall, just another bedpost notch. Want to go out for a salad? She put on a pink dress. She drove to Liza's. Guess you should be careful about when you go to the private country man place with a guy, she said. Some things are different. Nah, nothing's different, Liza said. You just see men more clearly outside the niceties. They drove to a pizza parlor with billiards and a long salad bar. I'd make a good man, Artel said, playing hit me with your best shot on the juke. She pictured her head as a stag's head again, how handsome she was. Liza nodded, mouth full of lettuce. Artel smiled. She ate some lettuce, wanting her antlers back. She walked to the billiards table at the side of the room and, using the racking triangle to frame her face, said, Can you see it, Liza? The rack he would have made with my deer's head if I were a deer, with a little bronze plaque and everything. Ha ha, Liza said, but he never ate you that thoroughly. Fire away, went the gravelly voice from the jukebox. Fire away. Good point, Artel said, looking up through the triangular rack still pressed into her face, tilting her chin up until she stared into the halogens above the pool table, imagining there was a truck or something coming up fast. She smelled the grass. All was dark except the high beams. She wanted to get out of the road and dart into the woods, but stood dazed in the headlights, her big eyes blinking, paused. Suddenly, with a deer's intuition, she knew somebody would hit her or shoot her. She couldn't speak or move. It was that deer silence again. A woman's body with a deer's head. Fuck him. Of course she had horns out there. Now she was human again. She cleared her throat and touched her human cheek. Want to shoot some sticks, she said. She bent over, giving the guys behind her a prime view of her hindquarters, put 3 quarters in the slots, dropped the triangle on the table, and racked the balls till they were all perfectly aligned. Go on, Liza, she said. Do it. Oh, come on, you know I suck at breaking, Liza said, touching her soft brown hair. I can't even line the stick up straight. A new text came through Artel's phone. She didn't look at it. She looked at the balls on the table, thinking, break them, Liza, break them. You're a guy like that with breaks, Liza said. You'll send those round suckers rolling. Give it a go. Take a shot like the badass woman you know yourself to be, Artel, the one I know you to be. What are you waiting for? Take a shot. Into the sudden silence, Artel sent a single white ball walloping into the triangular mass. 3 balls were pocketed, the rest scattered. That's that, Liza said. Blood red 7 first. You're solids. I'm stripes. Thank you.